This is Poirier getting choked with a Darce choke also. This is what I'm saying. Moicano took this fight on 1 day's notice. His team did not prepare for Islam Makhachev. His team did not study all the film on Islam Makhachev. If they had, then Renato's going to be extraordinarily cautious when it comes to rolling to turtle because Islam is so nasty with the Darce from the front headlock position. And so, at the very least, what you could say is that it is very unlikely that Renato gets submitted that way in the first round if he didn't take it on 1 day's notice, in my opinion. All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back. So UFC 311 is in the books, and I think the biggest story of the week going into the event, obviously, was Arman Tsarukyan pulling out of the fight, and Dana White discussed that in the press conference after the event, and we get to know now exactly what the UFC thinks about Arman's injury. And one thing that no one has talked about yet is that Merab Dvalishvili, he also talked about it. And he talked about it very, very openly on the microphone, and no one caught it, okay? No one seems to have caught it. Oh, my God. I'm bleeding. God damn it. This is what happens when I groom myself for your guys' videos, okay? I shave, and then I bleed, and then I have to start over. Or I don't, and I'm not going to. Anyway, but like I was saying, Merab Dvalishvili, he went hard on Arman Tsarukyan, and apparently no one seems to have caught it, but I'm going to educate you on exactly what he said, and it's going to make perfect sense. No one's going to argue with it because it's just right there. And also, Dana White, again, he's going to make very clear in this clip that he is not very happy with Arman Tsarukyan, and Arman Tsarukyan's not getting a title shot. He's back to the drawing board, and Dana, he all but says this guy has to be joking. Everyone's hurt, okay? Everyone's hurt, right? Everyone fights hurt. We'll show you that in a second. Then we'll talk about, obviously, Islam Makhachev over Renato Moicano. We'll talk about the Umar and Merab fight, which was unbelievably awesome. And then also the Jiri and Jamal Hill fight, which was also unbelievably awesome. Now, if I told you that you could make $50 for free if you take 90 seconds of your time to do something, it's something that you would do, especially if the 90 seconds is going to be something fun. Because that's exactly what PrizePicks and I are offering you right now. I want to be very clear. There is no gimmick here. There's no chance where this does not lead to $50 free for you. There's nothing you have to pick right. There's no game you have to win. If you play a $5 roster on PrizePicks, you will get $50 into your account whether you win or lose the roster that you entered. How much you can win in addition to the automatic $50 depends on the size of the roster that you pick, but I'll let you play around with that a little bit. Now, you also could try to win real big and play more than $5, but you don't have to. Take a look over here. Look at what I stand to win if I hit this roster. Hold me accountable to this. I'm putting it on my channel. I'm putting my face on it. Hold me accountable, and also hold me accountable to this. This game is super fun. You're going to want to play. As you can see on the left side of the screen, all you do is go through the athletes that you want to pick in a specific sport. In this case, we're doing UFC because my girl Rose Namajunas is fighting on Saturday. In addition to MMA, they have college basketball, college football, NBA, NFL, any sport you could think of, you can play on PrizePicks. Now, in the roster you see over here, this is obviously a UFC roster. I'm playing a $5 game, which means if this was my first game, I would see a free $50 put into my account the second that the game starts. So come join me for PrizePicks. It's an amazing game. You'll be supporting my channel and you'll be getting free money. Also, look at my roster, take a screenshot, and then you can see how I did. And also, I want to know who you guys are picking. Send me your rosters if you want. Link is in the description. Use promo code JesseOnFire for the $50 bonus, and that is what it is. Anyway, so let's jump into it. We're going to start right here with the Arman Tsarukyan story, and then we'll get into the other topics.
Arman Tsarukyan, what do you do with him at this point? I mean, do you automatically rebook him in the next title fight? Do you go back to the drawing board?
No. Yeah, he's going back to the drawing board. I don't want anybody to ever fight hurt, ever. You know, we've been in these positions before.
He did a good job not saying but. You know what I mean? Like, usually people will say a thing like, hey, I never want people to fight hurt. And he was going to say, but, and he didn't do it because he's smart and everybody knows whatever a person says before the word but is you either, it's like, oh, that's what he actually means, or you should just disregard it completely.
Or went down there with the doctor, went down there with Heather from the PI, who is, you can ask any fighter or anybody else, she's the best in the world. And, you know, you miss opportunities sometimes, and he did.
So what he's saying there is we went down there with the best in the world, and she did a complete once over, and whatever you're saying is happening with your injury is not happening or whatever. Or like at the very least, if you don't have an identifiable injury to pull out of a fight of this magnitude 1 day before the fight, then, you can't force him to fight. But again, I cannot stress this part enough. Fighters are kind of employees of the UFC, when they're like just getting started. When you get to a certain point, you become a partner of the UFC. Okay, that's the way that works. And if you're the main event headliner, you are the UFC's partner, straight up. And as a fighter, it's not like, dude, Francis Ngannou fought Cyril Gane with a torn MCL. Okay. And so if you're cool one day and then you go and do your weight cut and then you say, oh my gosh, my back hurts, and they take you down to the PI and they can't identify anything wrong with your back, dude, you are going to be up shit's creek with the company. Now, I will also say that I spoke to a couple people. I won't name them by name, but like I spoke to a couple people who were working the event, and I just was probing to see if anybody knew anything about why Arman pulled out. And the prevailing, I talked to two separate people who definitely both would know if there was some other thing going on. Because I was asking, like, what do you think? Do you think he was going to miss weight? Do you think he was going to pop hot? And they're like, no. The word around the campfire and the people who would know is that he just, that basically they communicated exactly what Dana is communicating in this, which was like he didn't want the fight. That's actually exactly what was said. It's like he never wanted this fight. They said he never demanded a title shot. He never asked for a title shot. And then now he pulls out with kind of an undisclosed injury. And like I said, Merab blew him up, dude. And we'll get to that in a second.
So we'll see how this plays out for him next year.
You feel like he could have competed? You feel like he could have competed tonight?
I have no idea. I don't know that. Only he knows that.
Arman.
Yeah. Dana could not be more clear with how he is, how he's talking about this is like, dude, Arman Tsarukyan fucked us. That's what he's saying. If you can't read that, that's definitely what he's saying. But anyway, but moving on to the Merab thing, because I honestly, I'll be honest, I did not catch this the first time when I was watching it live. But you guys know when Merab gets on the microphone and Joe Rogan's like, tell me about whatever, and he starts going. And when he was talking to Dave, he's like, I know you guys need me. I know you need me. I took this on short notice. And then he got on the microphone with Rogan, and he's like, I knew the UFC needed me. I knew they needed me. I had a shin that was, I had a tear on my shin. My lower back was shredded, but I went to camp. I could not train. I was good tonight. He was careful not to say like, oh, this wasn't the best me. He was very respectful. Oh, by the way, Merab, I have always said I can't stand watching Merab fight. I take it back completely. Like I retract that. Merab made a fan out of me now, dude. That's it. Last night was the moment where I'm like, okay, I like this guy, dude. But yeah, he's talking about how his training camp, he was hurt. And he's talking about how his back was hurt. He's like, my lower back, my thing. Why do you think he's talking about that, you guys? So the first time ever that Merab is complaining about injuries, who do you think he's talking about? Okay, that's what he was talking about. He's talking about Arman pulling out of the fight. Okay, that's what he's talking about. For sure. Now, I'm not even 100% sure if he necessarily even realized that's what he was doing, but that's what he was doing. You know what I mean? Why is he talking about his lower back injury like during camp? Has Merab ever talked about being hurt in camp? Has he ever talked about injuries or anything? That's not his style. The point he was making is he's like, that guy pulled out of the fight with a back strain. Like he was going after Arman. Honestly, I think that the first journalist that tells Arman that he's a pussy for pulling out of this fight should very seriously have like bulletproof glass between them and Arman Tsarukyan, though, dude. That guy will kill you, Like, in all seriousness, what do I know? I don't know. I have any idea what's going on with his back. I'm telling you, that's what the word around the campfire was. That's definitely what Dana was communicating there, and that's for sure what Merab was doing on the microphone. Absolutely for sure. So, again, for any of you in the MMA game who might stumble on an interview with Arman Tsarukyan in the future, and you're kind of new to this world and you don't really understand all these people and how to interact with them, I cannot stress this enough. Do not ever accuse Arman Tsarukyan of being a pussy and pulling out his fight. He will fuck you up. Like, he might actually attack you. No one is going to be more mad about the kind of talk around the campfire ever than Arman is going to be when everybody starts calling him a bitch for pulling out of the fight, because Dana just absolutely ensured that is what's going to happen. So that's what I got on the Arman Tsarukyan thing. Now let's talk about the actual. Let's actually start with Merab and Umar, because that fight, I have a clip actually that I wanted to show you guys there, which is Umar absolutely thought that he won that fight. And I'm sure most of you guys saw this during the broadcast, but let's just watch this really quick. Yeah. Like he thought he won, and I think that fight was incredible. First of all, the reason why Umar was such a big favorite is because of the first 2 rounds, right? Like just pure X's and O's. Like if you ever really needed an example to understand why Merab's pace is such a terrifying and astronomical weapon to try to overcome, that's your fight right there. That is your fight right there, okay? Because when they're both fresh, Umar was a better fighter. Umar was more crisp. He was landing more, okay? The takedowns were not working. He was even able to reverse takedowns. He took Merab's back. No one's ever taken Merab down. Umar's a better fighter when they're both fresh. But guess what, dude? Now we're in 5-round fights. So fresh in the first round is not going, if you don't knock him out in the first, well, guess what? You're going to get to the second. And if you don't knock him out in the second, well, now you're in the third, right? And all of a sudden, like Merab might be the best fighter in history in the 4th and 5th round. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, if you really think about it, like a person that's able to go exactly the same in the 5th round as they can in the first, it's like, this is a game of millimeters. I mean, one guy's better than the other. I mean, like, look at the beginning of the Moicano and Islam fight last night. Moicano was like the very beginning, when they were exchanging, it was like, whoa, dude. Moicano, I didn't think of Moicano as faster than Islam or more like if that fight stays on the feet, Islam might have had problems, dude. Like Renato looked really good. He looked really good. It's a game of millimeters. Now, obviously, and you got to factor in the rest of the thing. Islam able to take him down, and then Darce chokes him. But if someone is diminished 25% even, the guy that they were beating in the first round and the guy in the first round is still operating the same as the first round, they are dominating them, or at the very least beating them. And that's exactly what you saw last night. Is as the fight went on, Umar is human and Merab is not. He's a machine. Like, he's a fucking machine. His cardio does not even make sense. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand, because he actually carries a lot of muscle on him too. He must do nothing but train. Like, he must have one of those minds where if he's not actively working out, he goes insane. And so he is literally going hard all the time. So when he gets into the octagon, it's just like another thing of him going super hard. I mean, Umar is amazing. He is everything that he was cracked up to be. He is amazing. I want to see that fight again. I really want to see that fight again. I really want to see Umar fight O'Malley, dude. I really want to see Umar fight O'Malley. But, I mean, they're going to have to do Merab against somebody. I figure they'll probably either do a rematch with Umar or they'll do an O'Malley rematch with Merab. And if you're Merab, you want that O'Malley rematch, obviously, because you're going to get paid the most amount of money, So, anyway, that was an amazing fight. I love watching Khabib coach. Anyway, that's just Merab made a fan out of me. Now, in the main event, though, I just want to stress, like, Moicano took a fight against Islam Makhachev on 1 day's notice. Okay, now if you think that does not play into the outcome of the fight, I completely disagree. Okay, like when you're gonna fight Islam Makhachev, the best pound for pound guy in the world, him and John Jones, obviously. You're going to watch every one of his fights surgically. And exactly what Daniel Cormier was saying about Islam Makhachev's ability to dive for a Darce, that's going to be, you're going to know that. Like, it's one thing to be a professional fighter and there's the champion of your division. You know he's really good. You know he's good here. You know he's good. It's a completely different universe from you're fighting him and you're going to study all of his fights, or your coaches are going to study all of his fights and they're going to tell you, look, you need to always be very cautious rolling the turtle because from the front, his front headlock positions are incredible. He doesn't go guillotine as much, but his darce is insane. Okay, just that. His darce is a grappler that's as good as Renato Moicano. You give him that warning, and he is going to be extremely, extremely cautious to roll to turtle. Like that coming down to a submission in the first round, you really can chalk that up to the lack of notice and Renato fighting him on one day. Straight up. Renato is a good enough grappler that he would have known to avoid rolling to turtle, and bottom line. I'm not saying he would have won the fight necessarily, but I don't think that it goes down like that. I think he stays in guard. He does, or at the very least, he doesn't roll into turtle, where Islam is probably the best in the world at grabbing a darce from the front. You know what I mean? Or at the very least, if he rolls a turtle, he's going to be thinking, defend the darce while he does it. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to point that out and give Renato Moicano credit because he looked incredible on the feet, dude. He was going to, I'll tell you this too. I think he was going to starch Dariush in the first round. Based on his striking right there, and he has mega points with the UFC. He probably got paid a shitload of money, and he's got super points with the UFC. He's got super points with the entire UFC fan base, so good for him. See? Here's Dustin Poirier getting choked with the exact same submission in his last fight, okay? It just proves my point. If they were film studying, Renato's not going to just, in the first round, trying to escape. He's not going to, he's not going to get caught in a darce choke, I don't think. But that said, Islam Makhachev is absolutely incredible. That guy, dude, this is what I'm saying. It's like I always said, Merab demonstrated why his gas tank is such an incredible weapon in his fight. Okay, well, this fight, Islam demonstrates how he is the most complete fighter in the UFC. My opinion. He's exceptional on his feet. He is so dominant on the ground. It's absurd. That he is now arm triangled Charles Oliveira, and then now darce choked Poirier and Renato Moicano. Moicano's grappling is insane. So congratulations to him. I think he's going to continue to win. I'm very curious to see how he does at 170. I'm not sure if he has, if there's anyone else he's going to fight at 55 first. But honestly, 55 has so many good guys. I'll be interested to see how that division plays out if he's not in it anymore. But yeah, dude. Honestly, if he's going to leave the division, they should give Poirier a title shot in his last fight. I want Poirier to win the title so bad, man. But anyway, so the last one I wanted to talk about was the Jiri Prochazka and Jamal Hill fight, because man, that was a banger. That was a banger. That was an incredible fight. Jamal Hill has a serious chin, dude. That guy, not only does he have a serious chin, but he has that he's got that mental game where like he can get hit and it doesn't he can get physically and equilibrium rattled, but he doesn't get emotionally rattled. Like, it doesn't rattle his confidence, Like, there's a big difference between kind of finding yourself on, like, whoa, that was a big shot, and like, whoa, that was a big shot. Oh my God, I might lose this fight, Because that's not in him. That's not in Jamal Hill. That dude is fucking game bred. I will say that unequivocally after that fight. Now, Jiri is the same, and Jiri he's a different breed, man. That was a really interesting fight because Jiri is such a weird puzzle to solve. I don't even feel like it's a puzzle to solve because there's no like, I don't know. It's just like he was throwing the same counter a few times, a fair amount, but he throws so many weird things. He changes levels, and it's just nuts, man. He's throwing these knees and then he's not throwing knees. It's like he's tough, dude. He's tough, but I will say, even with the improvements that I saw last night, I still think Alex Pereira is going to do him in, just because Alex is just a better version of Jamal Hill. No offense to Jamal Hill. He's a better version than everybody, but he's just a better version of Jamal. Like, his striking is just better. He's trickier. He's faster. He has more power than everybody. He's just That guy is an absolute monster. Now, Jiri can knock anyone out, though, and Jiri can land. It's not like he can't win the fight, but I certainly will still bet on Alex. I mean, obviously, it's not like not a shocking bet. He's already beat him twice, but you know what I mean. But Jiri, that's real resilience right there from Jiri Prochazka to come back and win that fight after, getting stopped by Alex. It's like, the Rakic fight was bananas too, man. I don't know. Bottom line is, I am a big fan of both those guys. Everybody was booing Jamal Hill. I know they do it because he talks all this shit, and they love Jiri. But like, I personally am not a huge fan of that type of trash talk where it's like, where like they're just gonna walk, like where it's kind of like, I'm just gonna walk through this guy and walk through like Masvidal was like that too. I'm a huge Masvidal fan. But I wasn't like a big fan of how he did that. Where like no matter who he's fighting, he's like, I'm going to take his life. I'm going to take his life. Where you're like, I mean, all right. You know what I mean? Like, only because, not because he can't back it up or whatever in terms of being a fucking gangster ass fighter, but just like, to me, you're going to go find out in the cage. So I don't know. I know you have to promote the fight. Like, I get it. I don't know if I'm doing a good job explaining this, but there's ways that there's a certain way that like Jamal Hill and Masvidal do it where I'm like, all right, it's just not, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a fan of both those guys, but I think that's why people were booing him is just because how he talks. Because if he would have won that fight, but he would have won a lot of fans, I think. Well, I don't know. Jiri is very, very popular. But either way, bottom line, I'm extremely excited to watch both these guys fight again. Jamal is coming off 2 knockouts now. We'll see how he, comes back. That's a tough pill to swallow, dude. It's like they're very different also. Especially the Alex one, it's like you really, because it's a lot of this is about the story you can tell yourself. And obviously, Jamal Hill could tell himself a story, which is like, we got stopped. Like the ref stopped us. I paused. Alex took the outside foot position that I wouldn't have given him otherwise. And it was very quick and I didn't notice that he did it. And then just like that, I'm knocked out. Those little things matter a lot. And it's like, oh, okay, we got stopped. And so I got distracted. He moves his foot, 6 inches to the left. I don't notice that. And now he's got outside position. I get knocked out. So there's absolutely a story you can tell where it's not like, I just got beat up, right? This one, I don't know, man. There's not much of a story. You just lost that fight. And that's, tough pill to swallow. But anyway, that's what I got. Love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.